and welcome back to Gav Goes In. Listen. I hate to say I told you so. I hate to say I told you so. Guys, big up yourselves each and every time. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. Make sure you share the channel. And listen, it's going to be a good one. So let's get into it, guys. So, obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone is aware right about now. Big up to Exedra. Big up my guy. Um, guys, listen. Ruben Amorim sacked as Manchester United manager. Now, guys, if anyone's seen my stream from yesterday, yeah, I did call this. I did call this. Big up to B2R Sports as well. Says, I know you're happy. Bro, you know what it is now, yeah? It's not about me being happy to as such, yeah. I love this football club. I've supported this football club from young, from the days of the Eric Cantonas, the Andy Coles, the Beckhams, the Scholes, the Butts, the Roy Keanes. I've supported this club for years. And for me, the board, the Glazers are a massive problem. But you know what it is for me, yeah? I've never seen a club as bad as this under this management. And people can come on there and say the players are not good enough. People can come on and say that, he wasn't backed, this and that. Again, these are all opinions, and they're not opinions that I actually agree with, because for me, the majority of the team that he has at his disposal are newer players. So the fact that I've had to watch this team under this manager, and we're gonna go through some of the records that this manager we've had to endure under this manager. So, as I said, it's not about me being happy. Yeah, this needed to be done because this manager was an absolute disgrace, and there's gonna be people that are gonna be backing Ruben Amorim, saying, he didn't deserve to go. Another manager that's been sacked, but again, it took Ineos long enough. And again, it wasn't really the results that got him sacked, because if it was, he would have been gone long time ago. The very fact that he came out and more or less criticized the board, you can't be doing that when you're performing the way you are, regardless of if you feel that you didn't get players in January, etc. The very fact that he came out and said he's a manager, not a coach, that was the beginning of the end. And as I said, I did mention this yesterday, that I won't be surprised if Ineos act in the morning. And look what's happened. They've definitely done that. And as I said, it was a long time coming. Big up to Fitz, my guy. Big up to Reluctant Gamer as well. Big up to everyone coming through. And guys, make sure you're smashing the like button. Make sure you're subbing to the channel. Make sure you share the channel. And keep your questions and comments coming through as well. And I'll definitely get back to them. So, again, as I said, the fact that he came out with those comments, he probably knew what he was doing as well. He probably thought to himself, right, he's not being backed in his eyes. So he's just going to come out and call the board out. And he probably knew that the board were going to act anyway, if I'm honest. But let's be honest, yeah. This was a long time coming. And remember I said as well, yeah, the reason I was looking forward to January is because Ineos are going to show me that they're either going to back Kobe Mainu and Joshua Zirkzee and remove Amorim, or they're going to back Amorim and remove those two. I think it's clear to say that Ineos have backed Kobe Mainu and they've backed Joshua Zirkzee. And you know what? I have to say, and I'm not going to jump the gun either, yeah? But could this be the time that my club starts finally acting like a serious club? Because there's no part of me that would have been sitting here with Kobe Mainu and Joshua Zirkzee, two very, very good footballers, leaving this club to keep Ruben Amorim at the club. Now, the very fact that Amorim's gone and those two players now, in my opinion, definitely will look to be staying. As I said, Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, Jim Ratcliffe. Obviously, Ratcliffe told us 3 years. What a load of bollocks that was, which we knew anyway, yeah? But the very fact that these guys now have sacked Ruben Amorim because of the comments. You know, could this be my club actually starting to be back on track? You know, I'm not going to say we're going to go and win Champions Leagues and league titles because, again, the Glazers are a massive problem. But in terms of the next manager, again, Darren Fletcher is the interim, but I don't expect Darren Fletcher to be given the job long term. I just think it's for the next game until they sort out who the next manager is going to be. But the fact that we've more or less chosen Kobe Minu and we've more or less chosen Joshua Zirkzee and sacked the manager, I have to be looking at this as a positive. And not to mention, guys, yeah, this is the same manager that wanted Conor Gallagher. And I told you guys, yeah, there is no way Manchester United or Ineos sanction a move for Conor Gallagher. It doesn't make no sense. I don't care if Ruben Amorim, yeah, needed a midfielder. One thing's for sure, it can't be Conor Gallagher. This is the same guy that chose to keep Bruno Fernandes and not invest in that midfield. And now, you know, because Amorim now wants another midfielder because he's not using Kobe Minu, you know, he now wants to go and get Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher is a midfielder that you cannot be signing for this club. So the very fact that he's now gone, listen, I couldn't be any happier, man. I'll be honest with you. But let's just see what happens. As I said, Darren Fletcher is now the interim caretaker manager. And, you know, there's going to be rumours that his sons now are going to be featuring heavily in this team. I hope not. But, I mean, it's kind of looking that way anyway. But as I said, guys, he's not really been sacked for, you know, the results. Because if it was for the results, he would have gone a long time. He has been sacked because of the comments yesterday. And again, big up to Fitz as well. Because Fitz is the one that let me know about these comments. Because I wasn't aware of the post-match press conference. The very fact that I watched that and he came out with those comments, it's very clear to see that, you know, Ineos are not gonna stand for that. You know, whether people think it's right or wrong, they're not gonna stand for that. You know. But guys, before I get into some of your comments and your questions you're asking, yeah, big up yourselves each and every time. As I said, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. And guys, give me your thoughts on what you think of the sacking today of Ruben Amorim. Do you think he was unfairly sacked, or do you think it was a long time coming? But guys, I'm going to go through Ruben Amorim. Yeah? So Ruben Amorim's tenure at Manchester United. Worst Premier League win rate, 27.3% in 33 games. So obviously sacked on the 5th of January, Monday morning. And how weird is it, guys? He's been sacked in the month of my birthday. So an early birthday present for me. Big up. Yeah? So again, Ruben Amorim. Worst Premier League win rate, 27.3% in 33 games. Ruben Amorim. Most losses in the league in fewest games. 15 losses in 28 games. Sackable. Yeah? Ruben Amorim. Most Prem losses in a single season. 17. Ruben Amorim. Lowest ever league finish. 15th. Ruben Amorim. Most home defeats since the 1930s. 9 home defeats for Manchester United. Ruben Amorim. Worst ever start to a season. 7 points in 6 games. Ruben Amorim. Took him over a year to win 2 consecutive league games. Ruben Amorim. Eliminated by League 2 Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. Should have been sacked for that alone, by the way. Yeah? Ruben Amorim. 8 wins out of 20 league games this season. I think it might be. Is it this season? 8 wins. No, might not have played 18 games. So 8 wins out of 20 league games. I think that's backing on to last season as well. Ruben Amorim. First 25 league games, failed to score in 10. Yeah? Ruben Amorim. In 42 Premier League matches, Man United scored 58 goals and conceded 64 to have a negative goal difference. Ruben Amorim. Lost more games than won in all comps out of 63. 23 and then 25. Yeah? So Ruben Amorim's overall record at Manchester United in all competitions: 63 games, 25 wins, 15 draws, 23 losses, a win rate of 39.68%. Yeah? Points per game, 1.43. Amorim's win rate is the worst since World War II. Guys, I'll say it again. Ruben Amorim's win rate is the worst since World War II in the 70s. So again, people that want to come on there and tell me that Ruben Amorim, yeah, deserves to have a chance at this club, I've just read out to you why he shouldn't, yeah? Because just reading that out is nothing short of an absolute disgrace. And it took Ineos, as I said, long enough. But finally, they've pulled the trigger, man. And yeah, I mean, I'm not happy because it took this long. But yeah, thank God they've come to the right decision. And as I said, it's not because of the results. It's because he called them out yesterday, more or less, in that post-match press conference, you know. And yeah, listen, I'm looking out now, and I'm thinking, even players that are not here at the moment, you know, Jadon Sancho for me, if there's a possibility of him coming back, I'll take the opportunity. I think Rashford for me is a different situation. He shouldn't be coming back. The very fact that his number's been taken off him as well. If you got anything about yourself, then really you'll try and find somewhere else to go and play. I don't want Højlund back. He needs to stay as far away from this club. The positives that Amorim has done is get rid of Garnacho, Højlund on loan. You know, Anthony, I didn't mind Anthony staying, but obviously we've got some money for Anthony. So yeah, there's some of the positives that he's done. But as a whole, his tenure at this club has been an absolute disgrace. You know, so let's go through some of the questions. Some of the comments, sorry. Big up to Exedra says, nevertheless, sacked way too late. Yeah, my guy, I agree. But as I said, sacked too late, we know that. But at least they've come to the right decision. Because, you know, there was no part of me that was going to sit here and see the likes of Kobe and Xerxes being moved on because this manager cannot fit them into this system. And guys, I'm going to say this one more time as well, yeah, just so we're on the same page, yeah, because again, you guys that show up all the time, yeah, you guys probably already know what I'm going to say. And you guys, you know, I look at your opinions and I take it into consideration because you guys know your football as well, yeah. Manchester United, because what makes me sick about this club, yeah, well, not even the club, about the fan base and the media, yeah. Manchester United the majority of the fan base and the media, for some reason, think Man United were playing a 3-4-3 under Ruben Amorim, yeah. I'm gonna tell you why this is not a 3-4-3, yeah. When you're playing with wing backs, yeah, in this three at the back system, you can only have the only wide players in this system are wing backs, because when you play three at the back, the wing backs act as a winger and as a fullback, which means if you've got wing backs in the system, the attackers the players that form part of the attack, yeah, cannot be wide players because the wide players are the wing backs. So naturally, those players become number 10s, which is why when I keep on coming on here saying Brian Mbeumo is playing as a right 10, yeah, Patrick Dorgu started the game off yesterday against Leeds as a right 10, people need to deep how much of a problem that is. You know, people might look at it and say they're playing as part of a 3-4-3, yeah? If you're playing part as a 3-4-3, that means the two players that are playing off of the striker, yeah, will be playing as wide players in a sense, wide forwards. But you cannot play wide forwards if you're playing wing backs. It doesn't make sense because you can't have wide forwards and wing backs out wide. That doesn't work. So what happens is that if you've got wing backs, those players that are playing as part of the the attack naturally become number 10s. They become more infield because the width is being provided by the wing backs. It's that simple. So Man United were not playing a 3-4-3 under Ruben Amorim. They were playing a 3-4-2-1 precisely because there is wing backs in the system, which means that naturally Mbeumo and Cunha, who have been playing there, will become 10s. Because as I said, whether it's Dallo, whether it's Ahmad, whether it's Dorgu, they've been playing at wing backs, which means that the players that play in the front part of the team naturally become number 10s. So again, anyone that's telling you that United were playing a 3-4-3, they were never playing a 3-4-3. Because if they were playing a 3-4-3, I wouldn't be that dissatisfied that Mbeumo's playing where he's been playing. I don't like Mbeumo where he's playing because Mbeumo's playing as a right 10 and he's never been a right 10. And it's because this system with 3 at the back means he can only be a 10 in this system if you're playing wingbacks. So yeah, big up if you guys knew that or didn't know that. But anyone that's telling you, because there's certain channels out there that want to tell you that Manchester United are playing a 3-4-3. It's a complete lie. It's a 3-4-2-1. There's even journalists out there that I listened to yesterday saying United are playing a 3-4-3. You know, I don't know where they're getting this 3-4-3 system that Man United are playing, but it's not a 3-4-3. It's a 3-4-2-1 because of the wing backs in that system. You know, big up to United fan as well. Big up to Fitz says Fletcher as interim. Thoughts, Gav? Yeah, as I said, I think the Fletcher one, you know, there was talk about Fletcher becoming the interim or Fletcher taking charge of United as soon as once Amorim gets sacked. I think the only problem we have here is, for me, there's no possibility of Fletcher being the long-term manager. So if they're giving Fletcher the interim, I just hope that Ineos have had a discussion with him to let him know he's only taking this position as basically on borrowed time until they find the right guy. That is the only thing that I hope that's been spoken about. If they're saying to Fletcher, depending on how he performs, you know, he could be in chance to get the job long term, that's where the issue comes for me. But again, we don't know what conversations have been taken place. But I'm just hoping he's just there for, you know, for the time being until, you know, they find their right appointment for me. That's the only thing that I hope. But again, the fact that his sons have been brought onto the bench, you know, lately in games, I think that's a sign of, you know, them looking at this thinking, you know, let's just try and get Darren Fletcher in. Let's try and ease him in. And the fact that he's now the interim, you know, there was obviously people speaking about it. Yeah, as I said, I'm not too fussed that Fletcher's the interim, but it can only be for 1 or 2 games for me. If he's interim for the Burnley game and then the City game, you know, so be it. But I just hope United are doing their groundwork to bring in a new manager, because there's no way that that Darren Fletcher should be, you know, in place for the whole season for me. I wouldn't agree with that, you know. I knew he was going to get sacked. Anyone who talks bad about the owners publicly immediately gets the sack. And as I said yesterday, you know, if you guys have seen my short yesterday that I done, obviously the stream yesterday as well, as soon as I realised that, you know, that post-match press conference that he done, he was doomed for. He was. You don't have a record like I've just read out, and you know you're falling out with players. You don't rate the younger players, etc. People want you gone anyway. As soon as you come out and you criticize the board that really and truly should have acted on you anyway, like, yeah, you're on your way out. You know what I mean? And maybe he knew he was doing that because he wasn't getting backed. And as I said, the very fact that he wanted Conor Gallagher is even more reason, yeah, as to why for me, Ineos have done well in not, you know, going for a player that he wanted in Conor Gallagher, you know, because there's no way Conor Gallagher should be coming to this club. I don't care what anyone says. I'd argue that with anyone. Because they're saying that, a lot of fans are saying Amorim wanted, because Amorim wanted Conor Gallagher, we should just be backing it. No, I'm not going to be satisfied watching Conor Gallagher play for my team. No way. Especially when Kobe's not getting game time. No way would I be happy with that. And as I said, and I'll keep saying, this manager is the one that chose to keep Bruno Fernandes. It was him who chose that. Yeah. So you choose to keep Bruno Fernandes and play him in this system as part of a two in midfield. You can't be expecting to go and get more players because you had that chance to go and invest in the team. Again, if Bruno went, yeah, and Amorim wanted to play this stupid system and invested in the midfield, fair enough. But you're the one that chose to keep Bruno, and now you've got the cheek to try and ask Ineos to go and get you more players when you chose to keep Bruno and you don't use Kobe. Like, you've got no one to blame but yourself. You know? It's that simple. Big up to Gamer, says you predicted it for him to be out in your recent short. Yeah, big up to Gamer, man. Big up yourself. Yeah, as I said, I done my stream yesterday, and again, if anyone hasn't seen the short that I've put up today at 10:30, I said, you know, as soon as I saw them post-match press conference, he was done for. And as I said, man, like, it took Ineos long enough, but thank God they've come to their senses finally, you know. So let's see. But big up to Gamer. Yep, Kobe Manu stays. We don't need to riot now, lads. And, you know, there's people out there that's going to be saying they shouldn't have chosen a player over the manager. Yeah. But again, this football club is meant to be about, as I keep saying, youth, courage, success. The very fact that you've got the #1 academy player that's in and around the first team, that was a breakout star, you would say, last season, that can't even get minutes for this club, and they've been that poor. When Amorim chose to not play Kobe Manu, yeah, and not because Kobe's not good enough, it's because Amorim's stubborn, and he was so hell-bent on playing this system, which meant that you're not going to get the best out of your best young player that you've got that's come through the academy. Again, he was going to be losing that battle, and I did say that when Kobe's team came out and tried to force a move in January, whether it was a loan, I said at the time, you know, and again, if you guys have been watching the channel, you know what I said as well, yeah. I said that was nothing more of a ploy for Kobe's team to force Ineos' hand, because his team are letting Ineos know you're either going to choose this manager or you're going to choose me. And as I said, the fact that Amorim's now been sacked because they didn't go and buy him, let's say, a Conor Gallagher in January, it's because they've chosen Kobe Manu. It's that simple. And I predicted that from the start. From the start. So the positive for me, Kobe and Xerxes look like they're going to be staying now. And as I said, the next manager that does come in, plays a 4 at the back, we should be seeing Xerxes and we should be seeing Kobe getting much more game time than they have been. You know, the one negative with this manager is that they have spent money on this manager. But again, they've spent money in terms of getting club signings, not players for the manager, which is a good sign for me, you know. I need one of the upper management to go as well. I hear it, but I suppose we're only looking at really Barada or Wilcox, you know. From what I've heard, you know, Jason Wilcox didn't really see eye to eye with Amorim anyway. You know, Barada was the main advocate for Ruben Amorim. But again, do I see Wilcox or Barada going? Not really. I don't. As much as people might want them to go, but I don't see it happening. As I said, these guys have taken the piss really in terms of how long it's taken Amorim to go. But yeah, we'll have to just see what the plans are now. Because as I said, Fletcher's the interim manager now, but yeah, I just hope Fletcher's not there for too long, if I'm honest. And I believe it won't be. Glasner next season, Fletcher for a few weeks, and then Carrick will finish the season. Yeah, I think that's the dream, really. That is the dream. You know, for me, the dream's always been Zidane, but I think that's more of a fantasy. But if it's Glasner next season, and then Fletcher for a couple of weeks, and then Carrick to the end of the season, I won't be unhappy with that. No, I'll be happy with that, to be honest with you, man. So let's see, man. Let's see. But I'm hoping that Fletcher only gets the Burnley game, you know, or at worst, or at best, should I say, gets the Man City game. But I think definitely Carrick, for me, does need to kind of take over to the end of the season. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. But as I said, guys, Ruben Amorim sacked as manager of Manchester United. It's taken its time, but definitely the right decision. If you guys think it's not the right decision, then let me know in the chat, and we can discuss. Wish me luck though, Gav. I've got a game today. I'm gonna wear my new Rubens in the bin kit. Yeah, big up, man. Good luck for your game as well. Good luck, man. Good luck for your game. I should take it that you'll be in good spirits for this game anyway, you know? Let's see this. Yes, right decision. Awful manager. Wasn't able to beat an incompetent manager in Ange Postecoglou last season. Lost to Grimsby this season and scraped a narrow draw against Wolves at home. So again, I didn't read out all the... I forgot one of the things you mentioned on there. So again, lost the Europa League final to Tottenham as well. But again, the fact that he was kept on this season was really a joke anyway. The fact that he has made it this far, he can count himself lucky, really, because I've never known a manager with that record, from what I've read out, being kept in the job for 14 months. It's ridiculous, you know. Drawing at home to Wolves is where I think Ineos would have been looking at this thinking, yeah, this manager, something needs to change. And guys, let's not forget as well, yeah, the very fact that Ruben Amorim started changing his system to a 4 at the back meant that he was finished anyway. Because this is a guy that kept saying he will not change his system. Not even the Pope will let him change his system. As soon as he started changing his system, that now means he's being micromanaged. And that meant that Ruben Amorim was literally on his way to being sacked. You know, so it wasn't a surprise that he got sacked. It's just how long it took. Because as soon as you're changing your system, that isn't coming from the manager himself. That is coming from upstairs. So they're letting him know that they're not trusting what he's doing. And as soon as you get management getting involved like that, you're on your way to being sacked. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, it is what it is. Ruben Amorim, worst Premier League manager in history. Listen, speak on it, Fitz, because you're not going to get any pushback from me, man. You know my thoughts on it already. You know my thoughts on it already. Worst. When you've got a 37% win percentage, you know, I don't really want to be hearing, yeah, that these players are a problem. The manager's the problem. So, I mean, as a manager, the buck stops with you. So, when you've got a 37% win percentage, at what point do you start looking at this manager? Because there's too many fans out there that want to keep saying, you know, I had someone this morning tell me Ruben Amorim wasn't given the players and started telling me that Xerxes shit. And again, this is what people are doing now. Yeah, they're rather than them look at the bigger problem, which again I'm talking about on the pitch in terms of, you know, the system, the formation. Let's look at Ruben Amorim. Let's not keep looking at the players all the time, because these players were the ones that were getting him over the line. Because I can't tell you one game that Man United have won this season where it's been on Ruben Amorim. I can't tell you one. If anyone in the chat can tell me what game that Ruben Amorim has masterminded to give Man United a positive result, then please let me know, because there's not one for me. You know, so these players were getting him over the line. So when you get fans coming out here saying he wasn't giving his own players, and again, let's touch on that, guys. Yeah, the only players in this Man United squad, yeah, that has been here under multiple managers, yeah. So a lot of fans keep saying these players got Ten Hag sacked or these players have got multiple managers sacked. That is categorically a lie. Yeah, it's a major lie because the only players that have got multiple managers sacked that Ruben Amorim favours or that are still here are Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Dalot, Luke Shaw. And if you want to push it, Harry Maguire. That's 4 players. So again, the majority of players haven't got multiple managers sacked. It's a complete lie. So again, if we go back to the players that are newer players, yeah, Sané Lamens is a newer player. He come in under Ruben Amorim. Onana come in under Ten Hag. Mazraoui under Ten Hag. Yoro under Ten Hag. De Ligt under Ten Hag. Patrick Dorgu under Ten Hag. Yeah, under Ten Hag. Casemiro under Ten Hag. Ugarte under Ten Hag. Ahmad doesn't count because Ahmad came in before Ten Hag, but Ahmad wasn't being used under any other manager, really. So he's more or less a new player. Xerxes under Ten Hag. That's 10 players already. Sesko, Cunha, Embuemo, Mason Mount. That's 14 players, yeah, that have come to the club under one manager that was here before Amorim. So again, when there's fans out there telling you, yeah, that the majority of these players got the previous manager sacked in the previous system or multiple managers, don't listen to that nonsense. It's an absolute lie. There's 3 players, maybe 4 if you're counting, well, 4 players if you're counting Harry Maguire, that have been here under multiple managers. It's a fact. Big up to Foxy Danny as well. Guys, make sure we're smashing the like button. We got 13 likes and there's 8 of you in there. Smash the like button, sub to the channel, and make sure you share the channel as well. You got your wish. You know what? It's not even my wish. It's what should have been done last season. I don't take any satisfaction at the fact that Man United have now sacked Ruben Amorim because it should have been done time ago, yeah? But the fact that they've come to their senses finally, you know, and, you know, we was calling it in January as well. Thank God, because, as I said, man, it's been a long time coming. You know, there was no part of me that was saying, that this manager was going to get to the end of the season. No part of me was thinking that because I always said as well, yeah, Manchester United will not finish in the top half under this manager. And how fun is it now? He's been sacked. So, yeah, listen, it had to be done. I feel like I would have gave him more time if the team was actively getting better and the football was good to watch. But it was neither, so I'm glad he got sacked. I agree. And this was my my major problem with the manager. Yeah. And when he came out and said, and I touched on this yesterday, yeah, when Amorim came out and said he's a manager, not a coach, yeah, that should have been the eye-opener to everyone. Because I mentioned this yesterday, guys. I couldn't stand Louis van Gaal, yeah. I think Louis van Gaal, not Louis van Gaal, Eric Ten Hag, sorry. I couldn't stand Eric Ten Hag. But to think that Ten Hag got sacked because Amorim came in and we was told that Amorim was this inventive, top young coach, and Amorim is now saying he's a manager, not a coach. This is why I kept referring to Amorim as a manager, because it's quite clear he's not a coach. Because a coach, their first job is to improve the players you have. So the fact that Amorim came out and said he's a manager, not a coach, it was every reason to sack him. Because at the end of the day, why would you sack Ten Hag, who, again, I couldn't stand Ten Hag, but Ten Hag has proven to be a better manager than Amorim. Why would you sack Ten Hag and bring Amorim in if Amorim's stating he's not a coach? Doesn't make any sense. So the fact that he's now, the fact that he came out and said he's a manager, that kind of sealed his own fate. Because I don't understand why you would sack Ten Hag to bring in Amorim if Amorim's saying he's a manager. I thought we wanted the coach to improve the team. So, yeah, the formation, the 3-4-2-1, who he deploys in those positions, his lack of accountability for the youth. There were so many problems. The negative records he broke. Listen, he had to go, man. He had to go. And yeah, it took time, as I said, but he had to go. Just hope we get the next manager right. Yeah, but that's what we're all praying for, you know. As I said, Fletcher's the interim manager now, but you know, I would like to know what kind of conversations have been had with Fletcher, because for me, if they've had a conversation with him, you know, taking the job, you know, for the next couple of weeks or for the next couple of games, whatever it is, then fair enough. But if they're saying to Fletcher, you can have the job if you do well, then that's the wrong signal to send out. So, and again, I don't believe United are going to give Fletcher the job anyway. I know there's fans out there that are saying it's going to be another Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think they do that. I think Fletcher's going to take charge for the next couple of games. I think as soon as they've identified who they want, you know, Fletcher's going to be informed. So I'm just hoping that's it. But again, we have to get the next man's right. I think this is the crucial time now for Manchester United, yeah? I think it's never been more important, yeah, at this next appointment to get the manager right. I think the appointment of Ruben Amorim, I think in Ineos's eyes, we're probably looking at it and saying, you know, he's a young coach that's been courted by Man City, etc. Let's see what he can do at our club. I think they're allowed to make a mistake. And they'll probably look at this one and say, yeah, you know what? We blundered here. But this next appointment of manager will go down for me as the biggest appointment of United's existence for me. I think it's that important because they cannot afford now to get this one wrong. You know, I look at the Ten Hag one, which was an absolute joke in considering what he'd done when he came to the club. You know, I didn't want Amorim in the first place, but I'm looking at Amorim as a young coach, you know. And I think with me as well, with Amorim, I'm more looking at the football he was playing in Portugal. You know, I'm thinking that he might favour the technical players. It was never that. For me, Amorim was just a worse version of Ten Hag. Because Ten Hag and Amorim both favoured the players that I don't rate. And whenever I see a manager that does that, you've lost me instantly. Because there's too many managers out there that favour the wrong players that come to Manchester United. You know, Mourinho done the same thing. Ten Hag done it. Amorim done it. Solskjaer done it to an extent as well. The only manager that I've said to you guys that I've rated is Louis van Gaal. He's the only one. So as soon as I see a manager that favours the certain players, like the Bruno Fernandes, you know, the Rasmus Højlunds, the Garnachos that have gone now, obviously, that's when I always look at them and think, yeah, we're not going anywhere too quick. So this next appointment is massive. And again, guys, let me know what you think of Bruno Fernandes, because does this push Bruno Fernandes out the door? I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping Bruno Fernandes looks at this and says, right, my compatriot's gone. Maybe it's time for me to move on. I'm hoping they're actually looking at that. I'm praying they look at that, personally, you know, because this is a player, whether people like it or not, is a massive problem for the football club. I said together with Bruno Fernandes and Ruben Amorim, they are going to be the death of this club. Putting the Glazers to the side and Ineos, I said these two people, Amorim and Bruno Fernandes, from a playing perspective, are a massive problem for this club. So I'm just hoping now, yeah, that that prompts Bruno Fernandes in January. He's got that release clause, you know. Let's hope someone comes and triggers that release clause. Let's pray, because getting those two out and starting afresh is what needs to happen. And again, a new manager and a new captain is what needs to happen. As I said, the two captains for me at this club are Casemiro and Matthias de Ligt. They're the two captains for me, not Bruno Fernandes. Big up to Verbic. Yeah, big up. At this point, Gav should manage United. Boy, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm confident I'll do a much better job than Amorim. I'll tell you that for free. Because the first thing is, I wouldn't be playing that stupid system. You know, and again, guys, we need to understand this, yeah? If you've got a manager, yeah, that is hell-bent on playing a certain system, a 3-4-2-1, I'm not of the opinion, yeah, that because he hasn't been given his players, he can just keep doing the same thing, which are producing the same results, yeah? I'm not of that opinion. I think that's a load of nonsense, yeah? And again, you tell me a manager, apart from Pep Guardiola and probably Jurgen Klopp, that has been given a whole new team. These guys have earned the right to be given more players. Ruben Amorim hasn't earned anything. The very fact that he finished 15th last season and finished and lost the Europa League final to Tottenham, at what point do we start saying that maybe this manager isn't the manager for Manchester United? You know? So again, because I had someone tell me this morning that he wasn't given his players. You're damn right he wasn't given his players. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, he was given 4 new players this season. Not to mention he was given newer players that have come to the club that he's misusing. So technically he has been given new players. The very fact that he identified Conor Gallagher as a signing, he should have been sacked for that alone. Because I'm not here to entertain anyone that tells me that Conor Gallagher should be at this club because he needs a midfielder. No way. No way. No way. Yeah, big up, man. What a great day, Gav. Listen, as I said, man, sacked in my month of my birthday. And it's a very good early birthday present for me, man. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, it's about time, put it that way. It's about time, because I was getting frustrated, man, with this club, because I just couldn't understand how a manager that is performing like this is just getting away with it and being given time. It didn't make any sense. And as I said, he hasn't been sacked, guys, because of his results. He's been sacked because of his post-match press conference yesterday, you know? Nobody is bigger than the club. That extends to management. It wasn't Kobe or Amorim. It was our club's culture versus Amorim. I agree. But what I would say on that, Fitz, yeah, is that I call this, yeah. I think if you look at the club's culture in terms of the youth, courage, success, yeah, Kobe Manu fits into that. And the very fact that it was, because again, whether people want to agree with this or not, yeah, it looked like it was Amorim versus Kobe Manu. It was. I mean, I don't like seeing that, because it should never be manager versus player. It should never be that, yeah. But the very fact that he alienated Kobe Manu, yeah, it meant that this manager was on borrowed time, because Man United, you know, love their youth. They do. And you've got, you know, the best player from the youth in the first team that isn't getting a sniff. And what's coincided with Kobe Manu not playing is the fact that he's out of the England team. People are now criticizing him, saying he's overrated. And Kobe hasn't become a bad player overnight. That is all due to Ruben Amorim. So the very fact that Amorim has alienated Kobe Manu from the team, that should have been enough for fans to start saying, maybe this Amorim guy isn't the guy that we thought he was. Just maybe. You know? And as I said, the fact that it became Amorim in a sense versus Kobe Manu, I told you it was going to come down to that, unfortunately. Again, I hate to be the one to say it's going to come down to that, but that's what it's come down to. That's exactly what it's come down to. It come down to Ruben Amorim staying, Kobe Mainu and Xerxes going, or the other way around. And the fact that he's been sacked now, there's no part of me now that thinks Kobe and Xerxes are going to go. I think Xerxes, as I said, was probably thinking of it as, yeah, maybe he needs to leave this club. I guarantee you now, Xerxes, I guarantee you now, his mind's been swayed to stay. I guarantee you. You know, Kobe now, he's not going to be moving anywhere. That's for certain. So, yeah, man, listen. It's good news all round for me. All I'm hearing tonight is Louis Armstrong. What a wonderful world. Yeah, big up, man. Big up. Yeah, listen. Big up to Babs One Diva as well. Big up. Yeah, Fitz, as I said, man. Dallo, Shaw, Bruno, Maguire. They're the only 4 players, yeah, that have been here under multiple managers. So, again, be very wary, yeah, of when there's fans out there saying these players have got multiple managers sacked. It is not true. It's not true. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. You can want the manager to stay and not rate these players, but when people start coming out with lies like these players got Amorim the sack, got multiple managers the sack, it's not true. And again, what makes me laugh about when people come out with things like this, yeah? Dallo, Shaw, Bruno, and Maguire, yeah? They are 4 players that myself and fans that actually want the club to be better, we never rated these players in the first place. So now all of a sudden, because Amorim's been sacked, these players are now part of the players that have got multiple managers sacked. It's very funny that. It's the same sense, yeah, where, again, you guys know who I'm talking about here, yeah, because I've seen this guy a couple of times, yeah. Now, this person had the cheek to tell fans, yeah, that Garnacho, you know, is a future Real Madrid player. He had the cheek to say that. Like, Garnacho is a future Real Madrid player. He wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid come in for Garnacho. These are the words of this certain person. And you guys should know who I'm talking about. The very fact that he said that, yeah, means that he is trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, yeah? And what I would say, yeah, is that from my years of watching football, yeah, there's no way that Garnacho is going to Real Madrid. And now all of a sudden, because Garnacho came out wearing the Aston Villa top, you know, undermined Ruben Amorim and left the club, all of a sudden now it's fashionable now to start saying that Garnacho is now shit. It's like, where you been? He's always been shit. But you was too busy trying to fool the fan base to thinking that Garnacho is some sort of world beater. Again, I've been around football. I've watched football so long to know that Garnacho has never been good. But it was a case of trying to, you know, put certain players in their place, i.e. Sancho, i.e. Rashford. And now all of a sudden, Garnacho's coming out here doing what he's doing. And there's fans out there that are surprised or are actually saying that Garnacho was never good now. Again, be wary, guys, of certain people out there that are trying to fool people. You know, I'm someone that can't be fooled. I have my own opinion, whether you agree with it or not. But when people are coming out here saying there's multiple players that have sacked multiple managers and things like Garnacho will be going to Real Madrid, don't listen to these people because they're lying to you, you know. And that's what I got to say about that. Gareth Southgate, next Man United manager. No chance. No chance. That's just people doing too much because Amorim's been sacked. They're not going to hire Gareth Southgate. They're not going to do that. They're not. So there's no chance of Southgate becoming manager. I'm 95% certain that's not going to happen. What went wrong with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Wrong tactics or bad players? I don't think it was wrong tactics because Solskjaer never had tactics. Solskjaer just more or less, and the one thing you can credit Solskjaer, yeah, is that Solskjaer let the players play. You know what I mean? Because Solskjaer knew that he was lucky to be in that position. Yeah. Now, where I lost respect for Solskjaer is when he chose Bruno Fernandes over Paul Pogba. Because the fact that Paul Pogba had to play right wing against Liverpool and track Andy Robertson at Anfield, yeah, is an absolute disgrace. You don't put your most talented player in the squad doing up chores on the right wing. That should never happen, because he looked at Bruno Fernandes as someone that can get him a goal to get him out of trouble. But the fact that he done that is where I lost respect for Solskjaer. The one respect I had for Solskjaer, yeah, is that at least Solskjaer knew his limitations. He knew that he was lucky to be in the job and more or less let the players play. That's the one thing I can say, yeah. But he never should have been given a job in the first place. But I'll go on record now and say, as much as I wanted Solskjaer out of this club, Solskjaer done a lot better job than Amorim. And that's saying something, because Solskjaer should not have been in that position. But to think that Amorim has come to Manchester United and done a worse job, yeah, it says something, you know. So I would say it wasn't tactics, because I wouldn't say it's tactics because he had no tactics. I'll just say that he was out of his depth in the end, you know, and maybe chose the wrong player to build his team around, rather than choosing, as I said, a Paul Pogba to build the team around. Because Paul Pogba should have been playing in that number 10 position that Bruno was playing, and everything revolved around him, because he was the biggest name and the best player. But the fact that he was doing up, you know, second fiddle to Bruno Fernandes, it shows you why we're in this state on the pitch. Because as soon as Bruno Fernandes has come to this club, he's been given the keys to Old Trafford to go and do what he wants. You can't tell me that's not a problem, you know. At least Ruben got Man United to top 6. But again, the fact that Man United got top 6, the fact that Man United are in the top 6 right now has nothing to do with Ruben Amorim. And it kind of shows you that how poor this league is, because there's no way that Manchester United should be in 6th place right now on performances. No way. But again, it's a stain on the league, because the league table, you know, is crazy. As I said, Man United are in 6th place right now, but there's 4 points from 6th to 14th. So, and that has nothing to do with Ruben Amorim, by the way. It was individual brilliance that got Ruben Amorim over the line. I'd argue that with anyone. Big up, Gav, and everyone in the chat. Today is a good day. Finally, no more suffering. Yeah, whoa. Yeah, we've suffered enough, man. So, yeah, it's about time that we enjoy this, man, because, yeah, it was painful watching Manchester United under this manager. It was. And the very fact that he's been moved on now, you know, it's a positive, man. It is definitely a positive. But, you know, we have to see what they're going to do from here now on, you know. I think if I'm rating Ineos's time at Manchester United so far, when the signings they made, Ugarte aside, you know, I would have said it's a 7 in terms of what they've done at the club. The fact they took this long to sack Amorim, it dropped down to a 4 for me. The fact they sacked him, I'm going to say it's a 5 at the moment, because they've made a decision, and it could benefit United in the long term for me on the pitch, because you've got the likes of Xerxes and put it this way, yeah. Put it this way: if we're looking at the future of Manchester United, because there's people out there that think that a lot of these players are not good enough, and I disagree with that, yeah. If I'm looking at the younger players that are the future of this club, yeah, and they need obviously investment as well. But if I'm looking at Lamens, I'm looking at De Ligt, I'm looking at Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, Patrick Dorgu, Amad Diallo, Kobe Mainu, Joshua Xerxes, Benjamin Sesko, Cunha, Embuemo. That's about 12 players I've named, yeah? Not to mention some of the youngsters that could come in, the Shea Laces, the Sekou Kones. Man United have Man United, for me, the future ain't looking too bad for me, if I'm honest. And I think people can't see this because of this system. The fact that this system is now gone, we haven't got to suffer and watch Amad Diallo play as a wingback. I don't want to see that ever again. I'll keep saying this until the cows come home, yeah? You do not put one of your most creative and best players, technical players, as a wingback. Wingback is an unforgiving role. If anyone's played football, wingback is the position on the pitch that you don't want to play. And the fact that Amorim had the cheek to play Amad Diallo there, I don't want to see that ever again. So finally, we can ditch this system and see Amad play as a 10 or play out wide in the wing and get the best from him. That is all a lot of us ask for, yeah? So the fact that that's happened is good news. Not to mention, you know, you've got Kobe now comes back into contention. Hopefully Xerxes now in contention. You know, maybe you get more from Acuna, from an Embuemo as well. Yeah, listen, 31.9%. Let that sink in. So his win rate in all comps, yeah, was 39%. That is shocking. Absolutely shocking. I'm telling you. Guys, come on, there's 25 of you in there. Smash the like button, sub to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Ruben Amorim has been relieved of his position as Manchester United manager. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I will get back to your questions and your comments. I'm just working my way through some of them. So, yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Smash the like button, as I said. Help the channel to grow. Enzo Maresca to Man United and Ruben Amorim to Chelsea. Here we go. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. I mean, I can't see it personally, but I don't think Maresca is gonna. Is the Maresca deal gonna be that simple for United to do? You know, I'm not too sure. Guys, I don't think Ruben Amorim gets another Premier League job, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, because tell me what team consistently plays with a three at the back. The three at the back is his system that he likes to play, yeah? The majority of the teams don't play that in this league. They don't. Like, if you think of all the clubs in this league, yeah? Let's just go through all the teams in the Premier League just quickly, yeah? Let's see. So if you look at all the teams in the Premier League, yeah? Arsenal don't play a back three. Man City don't really play a back three. Aston Villa don't. Liverpool don't. Chelsea don't. Brentford don't. Sunderland don't play a back three. Newcastle don't play a back three. Brighton don't play a back three. Fulham don't play a back three. Everton don't play a back three. Tottenham don't play a back three. Crystal Palace play a back three. Bournemouth don't play a back three. Leeds don't play a back three. Forest don't play a back three. West Ham don't play a back three. Or they have done at times. Burnley don't play a back three. Wolves don't play a back three, really, and at times. So really, we're only looking at Wolves who have played a back three, who are bottom of the league. West Ham have played a back three, but again, West Ham actually turned down Ruben Amorim. And then you look at Palace, who have got Glasner in charge. So any team in this league, if people think that Amorim's got a job lined up in this league, think again, because these teams don't play back threes. The back three is a very, it's a small kind of pool of teams that play that. Inter Milan play a back three. Is he going to replace Christian Chivu at Inter Milan? I doubt it. So, yeah, him going to Chelsea ain't going to happen. It's not. Fletcher at the wheel, Friends FC, the media will run cover for all the terrible results. United will get under him. But as I said, it depends what conversation that Fletcher's had with the club. If it's just for a couple of games, then so be it. I'm not that fussed. I don't believe they're gonna say to I don't believe they're going to say to Darren Fletcher that he can have the job for, on the long term. It's more or less going to be, let's see what you can do, Fletcher, in my opinion. But yeah, it's concerning. It's concerning, but you have to believe Fletcher's only here for a couple of for a couple of games. That's what I will say. Yeah, listen, Southgate's not coming United. Let's stop this. There's no way Gareth Southgate will be Man United manager. That won't happen. I know people can bust joke or they can say that it's like Ineos to go and do that. If put it this way, yeah, if Ineos can say that they're not going to give him a midfielder in January, which is going to be Conor Gallagher, there's no part of me that they go and get Southgate. So I'm not of that opinion. Ter Stegen to Man United. You know what? I'll take Ter Stegen. Ball playing goalkeeper. I know Ter Stegen's getting on a bit and has been suffering with injury at Barcelona. But for me, he was one of the best keepers in the world. I still think he's up there. And if he can come to United and be and work with Senne Lamens, I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. But whether that's a possibility, I'm not too sure. Rashford going back to Old Trafford. You know what? I mean, everything's going to point towards Rashford coming back. Everything's going to point towards, I mean, the one player out of Rashford, Sancho, and Rasmus Højlund is Sancho. Sancho, for me, under a possession-based manager, he's gonna look a lot better. He will. Sancho's a player that people try to expect from him what they expect from other wide players. But you have to realize the difference in wide players. Sancho is more of a hybrid, a number 10 or a wide man playing out wide, basically, in a sense. He's not someone that's going to take on his man at every opportunity. That's not how he plays. He needs players to link with. So again, in this 4-4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, I believe you get a better Sancho. And again, it's looking like a long shot, but if there's a possibility of bringing Sancho back in under a new manager, I'll definitely take that. Rasmus Højlund's a no-no because Rasmus Højlund is just not the level. And Marcus Rashford shouldn't come back either because the fact that Rashford's number was taken off him, just as a man, why would you come back to United anyway? What, and go back to wearing number 19 or wearing number... What's the first number he wore? I forgot. Was it 30 something? I can't remember. But again, if Rashford for me doesn't come back, the fact that Cunha's got number 10 now, why would Rashford come back? It wouldn't make any sense, Xavi, Glasner or De Zerbi. For me, I also don't mind Maresca as well. Yeah, listen, Xavi, Glasner, De Zerbi, Zidane. I keep saying Zidane because Zidane's is a fantasy. But I would love Zidane at this club. But, the way this club is at the moment, it's unlikely. But yeah, just go and get me a manager that wants to play a 4 at the back, play players in their right positions. Play Ahmad in his right position. Play Xerxes, play Kobe Mainu. Give Lenny Yoro back his confidence. That is all we can ask for. The very fact that he's treated Lenny Yoro the way he has, I wonder if that's part of the reason as well, which prompted Ineos to go and do this. Because how Lenny Yoro's being treated, yeah, is an absolute disgrace. How he's been treated at Manchester United. This is a player that we stole from Real Madrid, and look at the treatment he's been given. Playing him as a right-sided defender as part of a free. Doing up right back, really playing that system. And now he's getting hauled off the pitch at every opportunity, being made the scapegoat. It's ridiculous, man. So yeah, just give me a manager that wants to get the best out of them players, and then we can keep it moving. United fans want Cesc Fabregas, but why would he leave Como, a club where he's building something special, and leave to join a struggling Man United? Again, Cesc Fabregas for me is another manager that I'll be looking at, Again, looking at Cesc Fabregas, yeah? Cesc Fabregas for me is a positive young coach from what I can see. And again, it's important to look at, yeah, the kind of players that they were. Cesc Fabregas was an absolute technician, yeah, just like Michael Carrick. When you get technician managers, yeah, really and truly, the way that they want to play football is more suited to my liking, which is why I wouldn't mind Xavi. Xavi was a cultured footballer, yeah. So Xavi's teams will be playing the kind of way that I would like to see football. So the Cesc Fabregases of this world, I'll 100% take. 100%. The fact that Ruben Amorim was more or less a water carrier kind of player should have been the telltale signs of what kind of manager he's going to be. Because as soon as you get managers like that, the players that they're going to favour are athletes over footballers. And this has been a problem at Man United for years. So, yeah, go and get me Cesc, man. I'll take Cesc Fabregas all day long. All day long. Yeah, Neil Warnock, bloody hell, yeah. Van Gaal is a good manager, not a good coach. As a good coach, will support his players. We know his opinions on South American players like Di Maria, Riquelme, etc. Again, I disagree with that, Verbic. I disagree with that, yeah, because Louis Van Gaal was a top coach. He was. And all you need to know is that why he was a top coach is what he was doing with the youth team and the first team. Because if you're getting players from the youth team to come into a system that you've got in the first team and they're taking to it like a duck to water, that's a sign of a good coach. So yeah, I'm not agreeing with that. He wasn't a good coach. He was a very good coach. And this is why, for me, there was no way he should have been sacked. Man United fans got too excited because Mourinho was on the market and they wanted to recreate an El Clasico rivalry between Mourinho and Pep Guardiola being at Man City and Man United. And this is why Van Gaal got sacked. Van Gaal should never have been sacked. Look at what he was building with less money. But again, that's in the past now. He shouldn't have been sacked, but we have to move on. But to say he wasn't a good coach, he was a top coach. And he's been the only coach at this club since he was sacked. Because Mourinho's not a coach. He needs ready-made players. Ruben Amorim's told you he's not a coach. And this is what this is what I thought he was when they brought him in. And Ten Hag wasn't a coach. Solskjaer can't coach. And Ralph Rangnick should have been upstairs. So Louis Van Gaal's been the only coach at this club. Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't a coach either. A lot of fans probably think Ferguson was a coach. He wasn't. Ferguson relied heavily on Carlos Queiroz, which is why the system changed as well to the three, with the Rooney, Ronaldo and Tevez. But Sir Alex Ferguson was a great manager, but not a coach. The only coach we've had is Louis Van Gaal. And I'd argue that with anyone, Fact is, Arteta is the best manager in the world. Boy, I've never heard a manager being called the best manager in the world for not winning anything. I've never heard it. So that's new to me. Surely if you're the best manager in the world, you have to be winning stuff, no? I thought that was the criteria. You know what I mean? I just don't get it, man. If you're saying he's the best manager currently on current form, again, he's not that. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But again, Arsenal fans, they're going to be excited after seeing City drop points. But listen, City are playing Brighton before Arsenal play Liverpool. So if City beat Brighton and Aston Villa beat Crystal Palace, it's back down to 3 points before Arsenal play Liverpool. And again, it's another game where Arsenal cannot afford to slip up. So again, and guys, have a look at Arsenal's fixtures coming up as well, yeah? There's a lot of games where I think City play before them to put the pressure on. So, listen, there's still a long way to go. 6 points is nothing at this stage. And the fact that those two teams are playing before Arsenal play Liverpool on Thursday, it'll be down to 3 points. And it'll be the pressure on again. So this is when you can tell what Arsenal have got. Who's next? Thomas Frank or Arne Slot? I'm not too sure, you know. Probably Thomas Frank, I would say. But I think Thomas Frank might be given slightly a bit longer, you know, because let's face it, he has got quite a few players out injured as well, you know, and obviously he's just come to the club as well, so I'm not sure what their thinking is, but yeah, I think Slot. I don't think Slot. I think Slot will get to the end of the season, but I think a lot of it with Slot depends on them qualifying for Champions League. We've signed about 7 new players since he's walked in, and we also got rid of the Deadwood. So to say he wasn't backed is an excuse. We literally spent 200 million last summer for his project. Yeah, but again, fans that are coming out saying he hasn't been backed, yeah, it's stupid, really. It is stupid because what, do you think he's going to get 11 players? 11 new players? That's not going to happen. Like, be realistic. He should never be getting 11 new players for what he's produced so far. But the facts are, no one can deny he got 4 players this summer, and he's more or less got newer players that just came in under that just came in under Ten Hag. So, yeah, I'm not of the opinion that he hasn't been backed. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. This might be a good thing for the club. It's a major thing for the club. Man United are in 6th place right now, yeah? And as I said, the way this league is going this season, you know, it's a weird league that Man United can get into the top 4 this season. You know, I'll keep saying this. They've got a top 6 squad minimum, yeah? With the right manager, you know, we should be going higher in the league for me. The fact that he's been sacked in 6th place when the fact they're in 6th place in the first place is mad, is good news. So, again, Burnley on... Is it on Wednesday, Burnley? You know, we have to go to Burnley and win that game. You know, obviously, the system change will be 4 at the back. Darren Fletcher interim. As I said, I don't want Fletcher getting a job full time, but we have to go to Burnley and just beat them. Simple as. Simple as. And, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there, you know. Yep, finally some good news. Exactly. So the book is manager starting next season. Maresca 5-2, Fletcher 10-3, Glasner 4-1, Tuchel 17-2, Xavi 9-1. You know what I would say, yeah? Don't ignore Xavi. Don't ignore Xavi. Because the Xavi talk, yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm looking at Tuchel, no. Obviously, he's an England manager, but I don't think Tuchel will be the next one. Maresca, I don't think it'll be Maresca because I think the fact that Maresca was at Man City, yeah, I think Maresca might look at it and say he'd rather go to City when Pep finishes than United. Fletcher for me, no. I think Glasner's the strong one, but don't rule out Xavi. Don't rule out Xavi. I'm telling you, I think Xavi's got a chance. You know, imagine Xavi at Barcelona, at Manchester United, yeah, playing under his former manager in Pep Guardiola. Two Catalonians in Manchester. So I'm telling you now, yeah, don't rule out Xavi. I think Xavi is a strong possibility to be Man United manager, you know. Cobby is definitely now going to stay. He never wanted to leave in the first place. It's just this manager didn't rate him and never gave him a proper chance. Exactly. And again, don't rule out Xerxes as well. Xerxes and Cobby for me are now both going to stay at Manchester United, and rightfully so. You know, and as I said, it was always going to come down to Cobby and Xerxes staying and Amorim going for me. Yeah, and that's what's happening. You know? All we need to remember, Gav was a pro back in the day. Well, as I said, I played for in the academy, professional academies. Yeah, so and I was there for the majority of my teen years, really. You know, so again, when I talk on football, man, it's from what I've experienced. You know, what I've watched, and just my life. It's been football. So again, everyone's free to their opinion, but as I said, I think there's some things that are untenable, and the manager coming out with them comments was untenable for me, 100%. Garnacho's bad, but I don't rate Sancho either. But again, opinion, but Sancho for me is a top player. I think the people that don't rate Sancho is because I think a lot of fans try to look at Sancho as something that he's not. You know, if you understand the player, then you'll realize that he's a top player. You know, he's someone that if you watch Sancho play, very rarely gives the ball away. You know, giving the ball away you know, is a great skill. You know what I mean? It's a great skill. But people look at Sancho as someone that, you know, as I say, they compare him to players that he's nothing like. You know, just look at from a technical aspect of how good he is in terms of close control, keeping the ball manipulation. He's got all these things in his locker, but I think fans just don't like him for one reason or another. You know, but he's someone that, you know, I'll always believe in, because in an era now of not too many good footballers. Yeah, for me, he's a very, very good footballer. And as I said, the fact he's at Aston Villa, and Aston Villa are third in the league, you know, and he again against Chelsea, he came on and changed that game for Chelsea. He did. You know, him and Ollie Watkins came on and had a massive impact. You know, you're not a bad player if you can go there and change a game like that, coming off the bench. So, yeah, if he's got a chance coming back to Manchester United, then make it happen. Make it happen. Just when we starting to get into a good and strong foundation, then boom, sacked. Boy, I'm not sure what foundation that was, but Amorim had to go, man, for me. You know, yeah, I'm not sure what foundation that is. And let's hope, guys, as well, yeah, let's hope the Bruno Fernandes and the Diogo Dalot follow him out the door as well. You know, the Portuguese contingent. Let's hope they follow him out the door, because that will make me happy, I ain't gonna lie. Because I'll keep saying it, until Bruno Fernandes leaves this club are in problems. I'm telling you. Yeah, the foundation in terms of the younger players, I hear it, but I don't see what Amorim was building. He wasn't building anything. Didn't use the youth, really. You know, played players in wrong positions. In-game substitutions were an absolute joke. Broke all negative records. Like, it's that simple. You know what I mean? Yeah, guys, come on. Make sure we're smashing the likes. Make sure we're subbing. Make sure we're sharing the channel as well. Yeah, listen, Amorim to Wolves, I hear it. But guys, I did say Rob Edwards at Wolves, I believe, is a better manager than Ruben Amorim. So when Wolves drew 1-1 with Man United, you know, a lot of people would have been surprised. I wasn't surprised, because I don't think people deep how bad a manager he was. You know, people can try and pull the wool over people's eyes all they want, but I don't think people deep how bad a manager he was. You need to realize, man, that he was a terrible manager. Yeah, big up to Sham, man. About time Amorim got the sack. Yep, I hear it. I hear it. It is about time, man. Big up to Sham as well for becoming a supporter on the channel, a member on the channel. Big up to Sham. Big up yourself. Uh, Amorim is a good manager. It's not the manager, bro. It's the higher ups cannot get the players the manager needs. Again, nonsense. That is nonsense because I'll keep saying this. Yeah, there's no manager that gets 11 new players. It doesn't happen. The very fact that he got 4 players and got newer players from the Ten Hag regime as well, that is still technically newer players. So when you get fans saying that he hasn't got his own players, yeah, this is a guy that wanted Conor Gallagher. Why should we be serious if he wants Conor Gallagher? Like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, the very fact that he identified Conor Gallagher as a signing, I'm glad Ineos told him no. It's that simple, man. So again, the Glazers are a problem. Everyone knows that. But the Glazers were a problem under Ferguson. Alex Ferguson was winning Champions Leagues and titles under the Glazers. So that they've always been a problem. But the facts are, the fans are not going to get the Glazers at the club. They're not. It's wasted breath because they're not going to do nothing serious to get the Glazers out. So all this talk about getting the Glazers out is a waste of time. You know, if they was in Italy or in Spain or one of them countries, these fans will take it to the next level. But Man United fans are not on that. So all this talk about getting the Glazers out is just wasted time. We know they're a massive problem, but unfortunately, they own the club. So I can't control, you can't control what the Glazers are doing from that aspect. But what we can look at is what is happening on the pitch. And on the pitch was an absolute disgrace in what Ruben Amorim was serving up. So that is it, really. That is it. I don't see anything special in Sancho. Yeah, but again, it's opinions, isn't it? You know what I mean? As I said, Sancho for me is a top player, man. He's a very good footballer. And I don't think it's a case where we can just write off a player like Sancho. Yes, people can still talk about he's off the field and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it depends what you want from Sancho, because Sancho's not someone, again, just like Xerxes, that's going to give you 20, 30 goals. These guys are not going to do that. But these guys are high technical IQ players. And the more of them you've got in your squad or in your team, the better for the better performances that you're definitely going to produce. It's that simple. And as I said, Sancho for me, if he goes to a team where, you know, he can be the focal point, you'll get a better Sancho. It's that simple. But yeah, he's a top footballer, Sancho. He is. Sancho literally had the most dribbles in the 23-24 Champions League campaign. Again, I'm not really here for the Sancho dribbles and that, because I don't need Sancho to have the most dribbles in the Champions League campaign to know he's a good player. Like, when I'm seeing players in this era of football getting rated, there's no part of me that's not going to rate Sancho. He's a very good footballer. He is. I don't want Rasmus, Rashi, or Sancho. I hear it, but I'll take Sancho back. I would, because the better players we have, the better for the squad. Put it that way. Gav, if we go to a 4 at the back, how would you fix the issue of Ahmad and Mbuemo, because they play the same position? It would be interesting to hear how we would set up if you wanted to play them both. But again, this is something that I've spoken on time and time again, yeah? If you play a 4-2-3-1, yeah, you can play both Ahmad and Mbuemo. Why is that? Because Ahmad is naturally a 10. But Ahmad's played so much of his career out wide. You know, I wouldn't blame people thinking that he's a wide player now. But you need to remember that Amad Diallo is a natural number 10. And the fact that Amorim had this guy playing at wing-back, you know, people thinking that Ahmad is a wide man or a wing-back. I had people coming into the channel telling me that Ahmad's a wing-back. Like, It's ridiculous, you know. So if you want to play a 4-2-3-1, and this is the team that I've been saying for time that I want to see. Again, I don't expect it to be played, but I would love to see it be played. And that is Lamens in goal, Mazraoui right back, Dorgu left back, De Ligt and Euro centre back. Or if you want to give Heaven a chance as well. The midfield two of Kobe and Casemiro, Ahmad in the 10, Mbuemo on the right, Cunha on the left, Joshua Zirkzee as the false 9. That is the team that I want to see. You know, so that is how you can get both of them in the team, Ahmad and Mbuemo. If you play a 4-3-3, again, there's only place for one of them for me. So again, it's about having options in that position. But I'd play the same team. But then if you want to put another midfielder in there, maybe if you want to go to a 4-3-3 and you want to play, you know, with the options you have at the moment, if you wanted to play, let's say, a Bruno with Kobe and then have Casemiro slightly deeper, and then you play an Mbuemo, Cunha, Zirkzee, or you play an Ahmad, Cunha, Zirkzee. There's options there. But the 4-2-3-1, for me, will allow you to get both of them in the team. And that's what I want to see, personally. Ruben Amorim gave those comments so he could get sacked and get paid. Yeah, I think Amorim kind of knew what he was doing, you know, because if he gave that statement without knowing that they're going to sack him, then more for him, because you can't come out with those comments criticizing the management that really and truly you've been lucky to stay in charge at for that amount of time, and think that's not going to happen. So yeah, he knew what he was doing, and so be it, man. You know. But yeah, the owners are poor. We know that. But again, I'm not here to be talking about the owners because it's just a waste of time, really. Yeah, Simone Inzaghi is not coming there, and again, he's a back three manager. So just based on that, I don't want to have a back three manager come in there. Mad. Guys, just to let you guys, we're gonna be live at 5:30 as well. So I'm gonna wrap it up in a little bit. But I'm gonna be live at 5:30 with Fitz and with Jonas as well. So yeah, we'll get into some more talk about Manchester United. I want to get obviously both of their views on the sacking, and obviously we're gonna get into some Liverpool talk and obviously the weekend results and the upcoming games. So yeah, make sure you guys come back through at 5:30 and obviously support the channel as well. And yeah, keep the questions and comments coming in. Remember Giuliano Belletti, you know. Belletti with the winner against Arsenal in the Champions League final. Gav, do you think Darren has it in him to ensure we finish top 4? Under 18s and first team football are two different leagues. Well, put it this way, yeah. The way this league is going at the moment, and the squad we have, playing a 4 will give him a better chance. But again, it depends the selection of what he's going to do. Because if he's still playing the same sort of players that Amorim was playing, then I'm not too sure. But as I said, for me, I don't want to see him in place, because I believe, yeah, if Fletcher takes charge to the end of the season, I don't think we finish top 4, even with the players we have, because I don't rate. I don't know what I mean, the fact that Darren Fletcher's an interim in a sense anyway is a problem. But if he's here for a couple of games and can just steady the ship in a sense, and until let's say a Carrick comes in or a manager does come in, then I'll be more optimistic. But at this moment in time, I don't think we finish top four with Darren Fletcher. I don't. Nah, Ferguson wasn't a coach. He wasn't. Again, the loving for Ferguson, I hear it, yeah. But he wasn't a coach. A tactician, yeah. A manager, a man manager, yeah. But he wasn't a coach. He wasn't. He wasn't. Ferguson would probably tell you that himself, you know, because there was talk about on the training ground, he wasn't really that involved on the training ground. You know, a lot of it was done by the coaches, the Carlos Queiroz's, you know. So again, I hear the loving for Ferguson, but Ferguson wasn't a coach. He wasn't. The only coach we have had, which is a hands-on coach on the training ground, is Louis van Gaal. Louis van Gaal's the only one. And again, it's not a stain on Ferguson's record. It can't be. But Ferguson wasn't a coach. He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't, man. Yeah, listen, Ferguson, no, he wasn't, again, opinions, but Ferguson wasn't a coach. He wasn't, like, as I said, this is no stain on Sir Alex Ferguson as a manager because he's one of the greatest managers of all time. Of course he is, yeah? But anyone that thinks he was a coach, I think, you know what I mean, you've got it slightly wrong there. You know, being a coach and being a man manager are two totally different things. And as I said, his coaches played a massive part in the style of play that Man United had. As I said, when Man United played the Rooney, Ronaldo, and Tevez front three, that wasn't Ferguson. That was on the recommendation of Carlos Queiroz. It's a fact. So yeah, you can love Ferguson, but we need to understand, you know, what the coaches, what coaches were, you know, and he wasn't a coach in the mold of the Louis van Gaal. He wasn't. Yeah, but again, big up Fitz. Like, there's nothing wrong with Ferguson not being a coach. There isn't. But sometimes we have to just be honest and say he wasn't a coach. Like, I know he wasn't a coach. You know, as I said, Ferguson would tell you that himself. Yeah, because again, Ferguson wasn't the manager. Ferguson wasn't a coach in terms of, you know, patterns of play. He wasn't doing that. What Ferguson was very good at doing, yeah, he was good at you know, instilling a belief and a winning culture at the club. And again, when it came to, you know, substitutions, yeah, if United needed to go and get a goal or they were a goal up, he would go for the jugular in terms of putting on another striker. Everything that this manager wasn't doing. But that's not coaching. That is just reacting to what's in front of you in a sense. Coaching is on the training ground, getting your team to play a certain style of play. That wasn't Ferguson's strengths. Man United's style of play, you know, wasn't possession based. It was get the ball in the box and get goals. That isn't coaching. That's just doing the obvious. Yeah. So again, when they went to a 4-3-3, you know, that was literally Carlos Queiroz. That wasn't Ferguson. You know, so yeah, big up. Hope you're well, Gav. Only just joined. What's your thoughts on the sacking? A long time coming. As I said, we've been on here for what, over an hour and a half now. But as I said, there's no part of me today yet that is happy with the sacking of Amorim, because this sacking should have been done last season. This sacking should have been done first few games of the season. It should have been done against Grimsby. So again, there's no part of me that is satisfied that it's been done now. I'm relieved it's been done now because it needed to happen. The fact that he come out with those post-match comments again yesterday, I said he's going to be sacked, because you can't be coming out with things like that knowing that your job is on the line. And again, for Ineos to save face, they would have had to sack him, because really he's calling them into question. And do I believe he should have been given players in January? I don't, because he's the one that made the decision to keep Bruno Fernandes. And I said again at the start of the summer, Bruno Fernandes is the key to all of this. Because if you sell Bruno Fernandes for the money that was on the table, that would have allowed him to go and invest in 2 midfielders. And then you would have quickly found out that this midfielder that he apparently wanted, which was Conor Gallagher, which was a question mark anyway, he probably wouldn't have wanted that in January. So again, his decision to keep Bruno Fernandes has come to bite him in the arse, really, when you think about it. So, yeah, I have no sympathy for him in that sense. No sympathy for him. And it's taken long, but it needed to be done. No doubt. Guys, let me ask you guys. Let me ask you. Do you think do you think, guys, that that Ruben Amorim should have been given the Manchester derby? Do you think he should have been given the Burnley game and the Manchester derby? Or do you think they had to pull the plug? Yeah, listen, I like the thing with Amorim. Amorim was never my first choice, and I was only with the Amorim signing, yeah, because I couldn't stand Eric Ten Hag. That is the only reason. But I have to agree, yeah, and say Eric Ten Hag has done a better job than Ruben Amorim. He has, you know, and the fact that Amorim was supposedly meant to be brought in because he was this innovative coach. It's one of them things for me that it's one of them things for me, yeah, that yeah, I'm I'm um I'm 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 of the opinion that he needed to go, man. Like, I'm not gonna say anything other than that, you know. Sir Alex Ferguson was a better coach than LVG. LVG bored me to death. But again, that's not, and big up to I Am Titanium, yeah. But the thing is with coaching, yeah, because Van Gaal bored you to death, yeah, that's nothing to do with Ferguson being better than a coach. The way that LVG played might have been a boring style, but you can't say that Ferguson was a better coach than LVG, because coaching is many things, yeah. And again, it's not to say that Ferguson had no coaching acumen, because he obviously did, but he wasn't known for his coaching. He was known for his man management. That's what he was known for. LVG is known for his coaching. So again, you can't really compare LVG and Ferguson and saying that because LVG bored you to death. You know what I mean? Like, that isn't the comparison, really. You know, but again, Ferguson was a great man of management, but not a coach. He wasn't. He wasn't. Only 4 to 5 years experience total in coaching. Only 2 to 3 years in men's football and hired for the biggest job in the world. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But that's one that Ineos have to take. That's a blemish on their record. And that's down to them, unfortunately. It's down to them. But guys, listen, we're gonna wrap it up anyway. I'm gonna be live back at 5:30 again with Fitz and with Jonas. So again, we're gonna touch some more on the Man United talk. Obviously, Ruben Amorim being sacked. Obviously, I want to get Fitz and I want to see what Jonas have to say on it as well. And obviously, we're gonna go on to Liverpool's game yesterday with Fulham and all the weekend football and upcoming fixtures. So yeah, make sure you join us back, guys, at 5:30 on the channel. And as always, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel as well. And make sure you share the channel. And guys, if there's anyone that wants to jump on today's stream at 5:30 and tell us why Amorim needed to stay or he shouldn't have been sacked, or tell us why Amorim needed to go, then just let me know. And obviously, I can send you the link to jump on, man. So just let me know. And as I said, yeah, just let me know, and I can we can hook that up. But other than that, guys, listen, big news today, big news. I did predict it. Yeah, bro, 5:30 UK time. Yeah, 5:30 UK time. If you can make it, let me know, and I'll send you over the I'll send you over the link. So, but yeah, other than that, guys, big up yourselves each and every time. Big up to all the mods as usual. Big up to all the newcomers as well. And yeah, listen, big news today. Obviously, Man United playing on Wednesday against Burnley. Darren Fletcher, interim. Let's see what happens. But yeah, we're gonna get onto some more talk about it a bit later. So yeah, make sure you join us at 5:30. And Exedra, yeah, bro. If you're on at 5:30, man, let me know and I'll send you the link anyway. But as I said, guys, big up yourselves each and every time. Smash the like button, share the channel, sub to the channel as well. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.